I don't know who the third judge was that just scored that fight for Tyson Fury, but it may have been John Fury, Tyson Fury's dad, or maybe it was Dana White. But either way, it doesn't even matter because Tyson Fury just got embarrassed. And guys, I'm not necessarily here to talk about who won the fight because guess what? If you're so confident and you haven't rewatched it yet, it was anything but clear, okay? So let's take our biases out of it. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Francis Ngannou, who wasn't even known for his skill, for his super technical ability in boxing, he wasn't even known for that in MMA, just power, okay? For Francis Ngannou to go to boxing and to go to a decision with Tyson Fury, the best heavyweight boxer on the planet in his prime, for him to go to a decision is crazy. For him to go to a decision and knock Tyson Fury down is insane. And for him to go to a decision, knock Tyson Fury down, and arguably beat him or bring him to a draw, to where the fight is incredibly murky and those rounds, a lot of the middle rounds could have gone either way, that is just, I don't even know what to say. That's madness. Boxing is in shambles right now. Dana White, the CEO, the top dog of the UFC, is in shambles right now because Francis Ngannou, a guy that everyone thought was going to get laid out in this fight, standing TKO'd, embarrassed. And people were going to be saying, well, at least he made 10 million. He's going to get screwed up. He's going to get fucked up, but at least he'll make 10 million. Now we're talking about Francis Ngannou in a rematch with Tyson Fury. Now we're talking about the fact that people are going to be clamoring for Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder. And now he also has the opportunity to go back to the PFL to fight Cans. If Francis Ngannou just improved his boxing to the point to where he can skillfully have that close of a fight with Tyson Fury, who's known as the most, again, guys, forgive me, I'm a little bit of a casual when it comes to boxing. I'm an MMA guy. It's hard for me to score these boxing fights. There are 10 rounds. But my point is, for Francis Ngannou to arguably outskill Tyson Fury, okay? Even though there was a knockdown in there, and that definitely made Tyson Fury more patient, more reserved, which is just part of the fight game. That's like saying, oh, Francis only won his fight because he had more power. Well, that's just how it goes. Tyson Fury has a reach advantage and a height advantage over some of those opponents that he's fought in the past. That's just how it goes. We can't just discredit them because of that. Tyson Fury arguably had a draw with Ngannou. He arguably lost to Francis Ngannou, who is literally one of the laughingstocks of MMA when it comes to his technical prowess. This is insane. It's insane. And imagine what Francis Ngannou is going to do to these PFL Cans. He'll take these fights as sparring sessions, man. He'll do this as a warm-up. I wouldn't be surprised if Francis Ngannou books himself a PFL fight the week before a fight with Deontay Wilder. Because it's pretty easy for a guy that big like Francis Ngannou to stuff a takedown from a PFL can, right? This is insane, man. I still can't comprehend what we just saw. That is one of the most impressive feats in combat sports history. And I saw a couple of people in my live stream when I was reacting to the outcome saying, come on, man, it was clear. You're just being controversial for views. It was anything but clear. You cannot have a definitive take on who wins that fight afterwards unless you've rewatched it. And I have yet to rewatch it. I'm not even sitting here telling you guys what the right score would be. But if I'm honest with myself, you have to give Francis Ngannou a 10-8. I gave Francis Ngannou the 9th round. And I definitely gave Francis Ngannou a couple of those middle rounds. I just forget which one it was because there's so many rounds in boxing. By the way, boxing not only sucks because they don't know how to promote their fights, the events are run horribly. You know, they're all over the place. You've got to wait an hour in between the co-main event and the main event. You've got a concert that no one cares about. All these rappers that are usually auto-tuned are now showcasing that they're not very, they don't sound so good. But man, Ngannou just came in there and showed everyone a taste of MMA. All right, MMA is on top. And what does that say about Deontay Wilder? What does that say about the fact that Francis Ngannou just gave Tyson Fury, I know it wasn't the biggest war of his life, because I'm going to be honest, the fight itself, if you were to take out the names, take out the hype, it wasn't that amazing of a fight. It was exciting because of who was in the cage and how close it was, given the expectations, okay? But still, for Francis Ngannou to have the closest fight of Tyson Fury's entire career as an MMA guy in his first ever professional boxing match, man. That's crazy, man. I'm sure Francis has competed in boxing in France against Cans back in the day, but this is like taking out one of the heavyweight goats. This is like going from boxing. This is like Deontay Wilder going into MMA and arguably beating someone like Stipe Miocic. It's even crazier if you think about it, man. It's even crazier, man. This is insane. He skillfully was out there beating Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury looked terrible. So what does that say about these boxers, man? What does that say about Deontay Wilder? I know Deontay Wilder was knocking down Fury too, but there's also the argument that Wilder hits harder than Ngannou. Does he? Because I remember I saw every single one of those fights between Fury and Wilder. And Wilder was putting everything into his punches when he was knocking Fury down. He's probably faster than Ngannou because he's a lot lighter, of course. Ngannou just touched him with a counter lead left hook. Just touched him, countered him. And speaking of knockdown, I'm going to show you guys my reaction to the knockdown. This is from my live stream. Fury lands a good right hand. Oh! Fury gets knocked down by Ngannou. Ngannou's dancing in front of him. Holy shit. Francis just knocked down Tyson Fury. And there goes Fury falling down. And the next thing you know, after Ngannou styles on Fury, dances in his face a little bit, every single round from there on out was Tyson Fury on the back foot, not willing to engage, clinching every now and then just to attempt to tire out Ngannou, who's used to clinching because he's an MMA fighter, who's a lot stronger. And where we expected Ngannou to just fall off a cliff with his cardio in the later rounds, Ngannou was still the guy imposing his will, landing body shots, hard 1-2s to the body. Ngannou was landing good body shots on Tyson Fury. If that's not crazy, I don't know what is. The only thing Fury was getting off in the later rounds, of course, to give him some credit, he was landing a couple of uppercuts, a couple of crafty uppercuts, and jabs. Maybe a right hand every few rounds, and that was it. Every one of those later rounds, Ngannou would land something of substance to the chin. He would catch Fury with like a little jab, and he would land a couple of hard, solid combinations to the body. Once again, I don't know who won that fight, but Francis Ngannou just embarrassed Fury nonetheless. Francis Ngannou just embarrassed boxing nonetheless. And I cannot say it's anything worse than Francis Ngannou winning maybe 4 rounds and then one of them being a 10-8. I don't know, man. That was awfully close. Even if I rewatch that fight and give it to Fury, it's still an embarrassment for boxing. And that's not to discredit Francis Ngannou. I do not want to see boxing fans throw Tyson Fury to the wayside. I know there's been a lot of heat on him since he's been entertaining this matchup instead of Usyk, and Usyk's that guy. But you guys were all saying that this is a joke matchup. Oh, he's getting himself a free win, free legacy, right? I could already see it. I'm not even in the boxing world like that, but I already know how it is, okay? I guarantee you all the boxing fans were talking a lot of smack about how Fury's entertaining this can, coming over to whoop his ass, get a free win, free money, big paydays, that's it. And he just got embarrassed. He just got sunned by Ngannou. Ngannou was walking him down, getting in his face, landing body shots on him, making Tyson Fury scared because guess what? As soon as Ngannou felt the power of Fury in the early rounds, ate a flush right hand, dude, that chin is on another level. He might have one of the best chins we've ever seen in combat sports. Boxing fans are going to be writing off Tyson Fury like he was always trash. They are going to be writing off Tyson Fury, a guy who, even if they were shitting on a little bit in the last few months, they knew was a great fighter. They knew he was a pretty technical heavyweight, but they're going to act like he was garbage and that Alexander Usyk would absolutely mop the floor with him now. I guarantee you this. Even if Usyk beats him, it's going to be a tough fight for Usyk. And a lot of people were going to say things like, well, Usyk would destroy Ngannou. Usyk would beat up Ngannou. That's exactly what we've been saying for the past, 8 3 months, 4 months about Ngannou and Fury, I guarantee you Ngannou can have a competitive fight with Usyk, because guess what Usyk doesn't have? He may have better combinations. He may have better footwork. Again, I'm a casual boxing fan, but he doesn't have the reach. He doesn't have an 85-inch reach. He doesn't have the height. The guy ain't 6'8", and he doesn't even have the power. I've seen some Alexander Usyk. He's got some pop, but he's a smaller heavyweight. He doesn't even hit as hard as Tyson Fury. If Francis Ngannou can eat if Francis Ngannou can eat Tyson Fury's shots like Tic Tacs and start walking him down and make Tyson Fury hesitant, and if he can somehow mitigate the reach advantage and the jab of Tyson Fury, at least enough to make it insanely close, enough to have the entire world, or 70% of us, calling this a robbery. If he can do that to Fury, imagine what this guy can do to Alexander Usyk. A lot of people are pulling their hair out of their head. Hardcore boxing fans don't know how to live. It's like we just told them Santa Claus wasn't real. MMA is on top, man. I kind of want to see O'Malley versus Devin Haney now. These unorthodox MMA fighters, they're getting pretty good. You know what? That actually is pretty impressive for Floyd Mayweather to beat up Conor McGregor. But guys, my point is, again, I'm not even saying who won. I have to rewatch the fight. This is insane for Ngannou to do that. He's going to get another $20 million payday. But hey, who knows? Maybe these boxing promoters aren't going to want anything to do with him because they're in cahoots with all the top fighters in boxing. Maybe they don't want their guys to get embarrassed. Ngannou just made me a much bigger fan of his. And I've never been a huge Ngannou fan. I've always liked him, but he wasn't very active in MMA. But man, this has got to make you root for him, man. This has got to make you root for Francis Ngannou to go out there against the best heavyweight boxer on the planet. I know Usyk exists, but still, this is crazy. And what would Ngannou do to Wilder, who's nowhere near as technical as Tyson Fury, who's nowhere near as hard to hit? I know Wilder's faster than Tyson Fury, maybe. I know that Ngannou is slower than Wilder, but Ngannou can land too. And he's a whole lot bigger than Deontay Wilder. This is insane. Dana White's about to make 50 announcements. John Fury's just about to get exposed for being one of the judges. Dana White may have been one of the judges. That scorecard at the end was insane because Fury also landed one of those elbows. A lot of people were saying that it was a point deductible worthy moment. But man, massive respect to Francis Ngannou. Tyson Fury's not looking so good. Boxing ain't looking so good. MMA is on top. I'm happy I'm an MMA fan too. Because let's be honest, let me talk about the event. Boxing events suck, okay? Nobody wants to see a concert in between the co-main event and the main event. And if you're going to try to patronize me and say, hey, that's not how it usually works, buddy. This is just for a clown show. Okay. All right. We don't want to see 20-minute walkouts, okay? We don't even know who the co-main event, the feature fight is, the opener of the main card. We don't even know who these guys are. Boxers just don't get promoted like that. The press conferences, you think I want to hear from Bob Arup? You think I even want to hear from the coaches? Maybe sometimes, maybe even in an interview, but I don't want to hear it at the press conference. These press conferences suck, dude. These boxing promoters are in the dinosaur eras. They're in the dinosaur ages, man. It's just a bunch of shit. Commercials all the time. It's like we're watching 20 interviews from Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou while we're watching the event. Like we already aren't convinced to watch it. Like we're here. We're watching. We don't need any more hype. You don't need to sell it to us anymore. We're already watching the thing. What is the deal with these boxing promotions, man? You're living in the past. Boxing fans, check out a UFC pay-per-view, okay? Check out a UFC fight night. There's not an hour in between the main event and the co-main. There's only about 10 minutes, and that's max. And that's 10 minutes between the end of the co-main and the start of the fight in the main event, man. I invite you to watch MMA because it is so much better. The production is so much better, and you just get to watch the fight, and you actually get to learn about these guys that aren't in the main event, man. I didn't know who the co-main event was. There's been no promotion for it. I can't even find the list of names on the card at all. The UFC every single Saturday posts the entire card on their page, right? They make sure that it's at the top of their page. There's a photo of every single fighter, what time the fight's going to start, what their name is, and there are interviews leading up to the fights. You can see an interview with all these guys. Boxing is like the wild, wild west. It's like outside of the main event. Who cares? Who cares? No one gives a fuck. It's totally unprofessional. They've got like, a 10-minute moment where there's music, and this is after the concert, before the walkouts, right? And then Bruce Buffer is just a lot better than Michael Buffer too. So what did you guys think of the event? Massive respect to Francis Ngannou. He just proved that he's a whole lot better than we thought. He has won in the end. Dana White in shambles right now. Boxing in shambles right now. I wouldn't even be surprised if they don't want anything to do with Ngannou because they don't want him to embarrass their guys from here on out. But man, Francis Ngannou is going to be the number one athlete on earth. Okay? The most talked about athlete on earth for the next couple of days. So until next time.